Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. The first question for you is straight out. Why Goenka Alpha Edge?
I think it's because we are focusing on an area that not many people focus on when it comes to education, and that is parenting. It's the only question I always ask a child when they come and say, "Ma'am, look how I did. You think you can do better than this? And if you can, then do it. I don't want to know what somebody else did. Can you do better? Can you draw better painting? Can you make something better? Challenge yourself." Please don't define your child by the marks your child is bringing in. In our school, we don't just congratulate the one who's got the best mark. We have special awards for children who have improved their grades by even one grade. And that, I think, makes all the difference.
Even if it's a small change, even if one parent could, just see this and make a little difference in the way they see schooling and education, I think that's a big win for us. Leadership in education is not about building or ranking. It's about values, vision, and the courage to put children first. Welcome to Goenka Alpha Edge podcast by GD Goenka Mohali, a platform for conversations that shape future-ready minds and institutions. Hi, I'm Harman Sidhu, the Academic Director and Head of Communications at GD Goenka Mohali. Today, we are honored to be in conversation with a leader known for her integrity, consistency, and institution building. Someone who has previously led one of India's top schools and now brings that wisdom to GD Goenka School Mohali. In this episode, we will explore what truly makes a school future-ready, how cultures shape learning, and how GD Goenka Mohali is quietly building an ecosystem where excellence and empathy go hand in hand. Let's welcome Mrs. Kavita Das. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. The first question for you is straight out. Why Goenka Alpha Edge? What made you think of the name? You have coined it for us.
Well, Alpha means first. It also means a leader.
Right.
It's not only first because you're number one. It's because you've earned that position.
True.
Right. And we really feel that we work very hard at what we do. It's alpha when it comes to loving children. It's alpha when it comes to achievements with children. So for us, and it is this that really gives our kids an edge.
Right.
So there we came up with Goenka Alpha Edge.
Okay. So also tell me, of course, starting a podcast, something that I genuinely wanted to do. And I'm so glad that you and Gurpreet ma'am, we were all on board immediately. The minute I said that, let's do this. And of course, I had my own, ideas. And what is the thought that came to your mind that how can we make a contribution towards the society with this?
With Goenka Alpha Edge?
Yes.
I think it's because we are focusing on an area that not many people focus on when it comes to education, and that is parenting.
Right.
Right? So, we focus on kids, we focus on the staff, we focus even on the support staff. But what about the parents who also need support?
True.
We all think that parents are parents because they've got a world of experience when actually they have none.
Right.
And they're as lost as we are.
I was just having a conversation and we were discussing that how, as a child, you're prepared for life, exams, schooling, careers, business, almost everything.
True.
All survival skills, swimming, eating, driving, cooking, But when it comes to marriage and when it comes to having children and when it comes to parenting, you're just left out over there.
Exactly.
Go deal with it.
Exactly. And that's why we felt that a program like this would help our parents to also become alphas in parenting.
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm so happy that, we decided to do this and we're here in conversation with you first and then, of course, the lineup. Okay, so a lot of people already know you. You need no introduction, but you have led a legacy boys institution with a strong reputation. What leadership lessons from that journey are you consciously bringing into GD Goenka Mohali?
Scripture gives us a very different version of leadership to what the world sees. And that is something called servant leadership. It's leaders who don't lead from in front, but lead by example. Leaders who believe that you have to empower others rather than try to be the boss who dictates.
I've seen that.
So it has to be so that even if you leave a place, it will stay as good as it was under you, because you have trained and you have helped everybody to be in a position where they can continue.
Right.
Right. That is a real legacy to leave, not something that is built on you, but that is built on others.
True.
So that your children benefit, your staff grow, and your parents blossom.
True.
It's looking after everyone. I mean, look at, actually this should be a world concept, because when you look at IAS, what does it stand for? Indian Administrative Service. IPS. Indian Police Service. It's actually built on the concept that service should be at the heart of leadership.
Right. True.
Right? And when you serve with humility, when you serve with grace, when you serve with love, that is when you bring about changes. It's not like somebody with a chisel hammering out a statue.
True.
It's more a sculptor
Right.
who is, creating something beautiful by molding them. And that only comes with love. The minute you work with anger or you work with suppression, you're working immediately with resistance.
True.
But love melts that. And when you do that, then you can bring about a change that is lasting. So if you really look at, I think, the leaders of the world whom we remember, who have made an impact and changed the world in a positive way, lots of them have done changes. But the ones who remain in our memories and in our hearts are who? People like Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Gandhiji. Why? Because they all worked with that same selfless love and humility.
True.
That, in my book, is true leadership.
Absolutely. I so agree with you. When you walk into GD Goenka Mohali today, what kind of school culture are you intentionally building, and why does that matter for today's children? Because back then and today, even a decade's gap between education changes everything. The way the alpha generation that we are going to be teaching now in the schools. What do you have to say about that?
It's a culture based on caring. A culture that believes that every child is unique. And so it's not looking to produce robots. It's looking to recognize the gifts of every child. So like when our parents come in, we have them fill out something called 1,000,000 words. Just describe your child in 1,000,000 words. Why?
Wow.
Because it never ends. And then, we look at that carefully and we try to sort of find out what is it about this child that is his or her gifts.
Right.
And that is what we want to build on. It would be a very boring world if everybody was academically proficient and a brilliant sports person and a great artist, right?
True.
We're built on diversity.
Right.
So unless we help that diversity to sustain itself, then we are looking at children who will be happy, stable kids, who will know who they are and what they are, because they're not competing against others. They're competing against themselves. The only question I always ask a child when they come and say, "Ma'am, look how I did," and is the only question I say is, "You think you can do better than this?" And if you can, then do it. I don't want to know what somebody else did. Can you do better? Can you draw better painting? Can you make something better? Challenge yourself. Now, when they learn to do that, then you have, children who are not afraid of the world because they know who they are and what they are. True. That is what defines our kids. And that is the culture we hope to, take out into the world.
That is so beautiful. I mean, when I look back at the kind of education we have had, I sometimes think, when I see you, every time I talk to you, and I just keep thinking to myself, if I was studying in a school where ma'am was, I would have shaped into being something so different. It's taken me a decade after schooling to understand who I truly am and what I truly want to be and do, So if I had to be precise, I actually chose a career for myself after having a child. And if only I was free, and if I only had a space to express freely that this is what I want to do in life. But today, things are very different. I'm so glad that schools are so open in letting children express what they want to be, and they're prioritizing on that. That, this is unique about the child. Let's focus here. And I hope parents do that too.
Well, we're fortunate with our parents. They are really on board with us.
Right. That's so beautiful.
And that's been, it's been a journey. But they're now recognizing what we're doing.
It's a two-way relationship, it's not just the school doing something for the kid or just the parent doing something. You have to be together in this.
Exactly.
You have
Because
to be
if the
on
support system is not all around the child,
True.
and not just half, when they're in school they get it and when they're at home they don't get it.
Yes.
So you're quite right. Unless the parents support us and partner us, it's not going to be as effective
Right.
than when it is a well-rounded 24-hour support system that surrounds our children.
True. In a city with so many schooling options, what do you believe truly sets GD Goenka Mohali apart? Not in facility, but in philosophy.
Very much what I said earlier. Philosophy believes that it should be a happy school.
Right.
The happiness quotient must be high. It should be a school where children look forward to coming and don't get up in the morning crying that they have to come to school, right?
Right.
So it's a school that believes that children should teach themselves rather than be taught. So the sense of exploration, the sense of discovery must be there in the classroom, right? When they are learning, not simply, book, you read it, you underline the necessary answers and you're done.
Right.
It is more a well-rounded education that shows them, for example, if I'm teaching them a circle. So I would go to math and I would teach them 0. I would go to social studies and I would teach them the cycle of water. Right, in science, I would teach them the cycle of life. So now they're being able to, through a multidisciplinary approach, and this is very carefully planned in our school, they will see the relevance of what they're learning and how it applies into different areas of learning and how it also applies in real life.
Right.
So learning is not simply theoretical. It is application-based. So now it makes sense to them. Other kids are saying, why am I learning this?
True.
What's the sense in what I'm doing?
True.
So they need to have something which says, yes, this is the reason why I learned it. Now it makes sense.
True.
So
much
that is
thought
what we
goes
tried.
into it.
Yes, it's a lot of detailed planning, trust me.
Yes.
We work really hard at this. Everybody sits down together, works and plans, and they take out their lessons, say, okay, I'm doing this one. Who's got something that matches this, right? And then we try to align them as far as possible so that the child gets that sense of this is what I'm learning and why I'm learning it. You can't do it all the time, but wherever we can, we try to put it in so that learning makes sense.
True.
It's not just something you're learning in a silo, in a vacuum.
Right.
You're learning it because you're going to use it in life.
Absolutely. That's
Then
the
it
whole
becomes
purpose of
exciting.
education.
Exactly.
That's always been the purpose of education, and that's how it should be
Yes.
for everybody.
When I taught Shakespeare, my kids used to ask me, why are we learning this thee, thou, them, thy? And I was like, don't look at the thee, thou, them. Look at what it's teaching you about people. Shakespeare's knowledge of human beings is something unmatched even today. He was an incredible psychologist. So when I started showing them, look, this character, who do you see in real life who's like this? Who are you? Even in the classroom, tell me who's this person. Then they understood, oh my gosh, this is a man who's mastered, human beings and really knows them well. Then it made sense to them and they started getting really involved in the teaching. Otherwise, they were like, ma'am, come on, what are we going to do with a language that's so old?
True.
So that's what you've got to show them, the relevance of what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. If a parent could observe just one day inside the school, what would you want them to notice immediately about how children are treated and taught?
Treated with love and fairness.
I like that.
They need to see that. They need to see that their children are valued. They're not just a figure or a number in the school. That every child has meaning. And that they are treated with a great amount of justice. Because if you don't have that, I always used to tell, my friends and my husband, my boys never bear grudges because they know they are loved and they know that they're getting justice. If they come with a grudge, with a problem, we handle it.
Right.
And we try to resolve it. So the minute they have that in their lives, then they're not unhappy children. They're children who are very secure, who know who they are and what they are, and they're happy doing what they're doing. Right? So I want parents to come in and see that we value their children. They mean the world to us because we are not worth being called a school if we are not child-centric.
True. So while you were saying that, I remember when my daughter had started school, she had howled and howled and howled to go to school. And this crying was not the separation anxiety crying. This was way more than that. So much so that she'd started to puke before going to school. And she would, she was really disturbed. Sending her to school was a nightmare for me and Puneet. Like literally in the night, I would start feeling, oh my God, it's so stressful. So much so that I had to intervene and I had to go and ask the school that, listen, I am doing everything right in my capacity. Could you please look into your system and see what is going wrong somewhere. And initially they resisted it a lot that, children do this, it's okay. But when I now look back, it was just the love. Now, of course, then she changed her class and then she moved on. And she said that, I told her, I said, my daughter's been struggling and, it's hard for me to send her to school. So she was like, okay. So she had a nice long conversation with me. And every year I go and I give a little prep talk to the teacher. Just one single word, please love her. So what I don't like is that as a parent, I had to go and tell the school that please love my child as much as I am loving my child. Because if she's not getting, if not too much, at least that much that she's getting at home, she's not going to adjust. It should have come from the school that, I think every school for that matter should be giving so much love that children are happy to go. They look forward to going to the school and not the other way around.
So true, because I remember, the principal had to go for some work out of station, and I was standing at the front gate greeting the kids like she normally does. And the way the kids would come running in and they would hug us and they would say, good morning, ma'am, and it's smiling. It told you, yes, we're doing something right, because the kids were, and that the fact that they felt safe enough to come and show affection. You don't show it unless you're safe. Otherwise, you guard yourself.
And
that they could come and show that.
I had sent a child to Goenka last year. And this child was very shy, did not speak at all. So much so that I thought that we really need more investigation into him because he's not talking much. And ma'am, you won't believe, at that point of time, nobody knew that I know the child. I was observing what he's doing, how he's studying. And I tell you, he's such a happy boy. Dancing
I'm so
around,
glad to hear that.
Speaking, no intervention needed, talking to his friends. Though I kept telling his parents that, let's pull him back a class, let him do better. It's not about numbers and scores and everything. I just want him to feel confident, And then the teacher's saying, no, he is confident. He is already doing so well. There is no reason you must pull him back, And so this is my personal observation that love can move mountains, even with children.
And it's transformative.
Absolutely.
And GD Goenka, that's what we believe, that love must be at the heart of whatever you do, whether it's passion for work,
right,
or whether it is just, being with your children. Whatever you do must be motivated with love. Then you can't go wrong.
True. Ma'am, as parents, we often worry about what values our children absorb every day. From your experience, which values should parents consider absolutely non-negotiable when choosing a school?
There are 4 core values that I've always lived by in whichever school I've taught. Spirituality, compassion, inclusion, and justice and advocacy. When you take these 4 values, if they are embedded in a school, you get really good human beings. Because justice and advocacy teaches you not to sit quietly, but to fight for what's right. It's the only way the world is going to become a better place, not if we keep accepting everything that's wrong. But how are you going to know that, where are you going to get the strength to do it from? How are you going to be able to speak? That comes when you've got compassion, when you recognize something that is in need. A person is in need, person needs help, right? It allows you to then include them in whatever you're doing without discrimination, recognizing that every human being is irreplaceable. Our fingerprints aren't the same.
True.
Right. When I go, there will never be another set of fingerprints like this again in the world.
True.
So it teaches you to include people by recognizing them as human beings who are very, very special.
Right.
Right. And spirituality is what gives you the strength to do that.
People often mistake spirituality with religion.
Oh no. Spirituality is not based on mantras or rituals.
True.
It's based on a faith that there is God, and when we put our trust in God, God performs miracles. Literally, I've seen it in my life. So
Me too.
when you have that kind of faith, you can literally move mountains.
True.
You
Yeah.
don't fear. And this is what I've seen in the lives of all these wonderful people I was talking about earlier. It was their faith that carried them through, right?
True.
So it's spirituality. I'm not talking religion.
I know.
That is what allows children to become exceptional human beings who will make a difference. So if you can see that in a school, grab it.
True. So true. I mean, I'm a very spiritual person. And I always like I said, people always mistake spirituality with religion. So I have to correct people and tell them I'm not religious. I love all religions. There's just one God, and no matter how you call him, he's right there and he's always listening. I said, I feel like the world will be a better place if schools, if parents, we all, teach our children, not teach rather. I mean, I don't like to use the word teach because they learn.
But help them to imbibe.
Absolutely. And they learn. They see what the parents are doing, the value that the school has. You don't have to tell them that.
Exactly.
They
it's in the ethos of the school.
Absolutely. Like
and from
said.
there, people say, oh, you're focused so much on this. What about academics? Academics follows naturally. When you're
True.
always doing the best you can, you'll automatically do well in academics as well.
True.
It follows. So I don't fear that my kids will not do well. They will always do well. And I'm not only talking about numbers.
Right.
It's not always numbers.
Right.
It's the ability to do well in life.
Absolutely.
That you will find in these kids who are rock solid kids.
True.
They're not shaken by trials, by temptations. They know how to maneuver their way through, and they have a compass which keeps them on the right path, right? So they're not only making decisions, but they're making the right decisions that are going to benefit others. It's not a selfish decision being made each time just for my own good.
Right.
If we all live our lives like that, I think the world would be a terrible place to live in. And every school needs to understand that we are the foundation builders of society. The values we give our children are what is going to shape tomorrow.
Many parents feel torn between performance pressure and their child's emotional well-being. How can schools support parents in balancing both without compromising either?
I think it's when schools partner parents and vice versa that we get the most amazing kids. So parents have to have faith in the school.
True.
And the school itself has to live up to that faith.
True.
Right. But when you can help your parents to understand that please don't define your child by the marks your child is bringing in, right? Help us to see, for example, in our school, we don't just, congratulate the one who's got the best marks. We have special awards for children who have improved their grades by even 1 grade.
That's so lovely.
So I'm not asking you to become from a C child to an A child. I'm saying from C, can you go to B? And if you can,
Yes.
let's celebrate it.
True.
Right. So when you can set those kind of manageable goals for children, they are not stressed out. And watching them take those steps and keep growing is what really leads to kids who know who they are, know what they're capable of. Now, when parents align themselves with us on this, when we can teach them, look, don't only set manageable goals. You've got to be able to balance time. Don't keep putting them under academics all the time that you're not doing well, so you can't have any other things in your life.
Right.
Let the child also have some time to enjoy some personal interests, right?
course.
Let them get engaged in a sport. Let them find what they are good in. When a child
True.
is able to identify their strengths and start doing well in that and start taking pride in who they are, it automatically influences every part of their lives.
True.
So the main thing is to build confidence in a child about themselves.
Absolutely.
And that will come by experimenting, by giving children opportunities. So this is what all schools and parents need to do together.
I'm a parent sitting over here right in front of you. And when you speak, I immediately go and, think that, am I doing this right with my child? So when you were talking about grades and, every time I have a conversation with my daughter, when we see her grades and I tell her, I said, listen, you've got this yellow. Can we make the screen maybe, maybe if you could try. And she's like, what do you want, Mama? Do you want me to have all greens? I said, no, I never said that. I'm just saying this particular one, maybe you can try, do better than yourself. And she was like, but this one has got that much. I said, I don't care. I said, I don't care what the other children have got. I'm not seeing what they're doing. I don't care. I just want to know that can my child do a little better next time? Can we try maybe, So when you were saying that, I was like, okay, I'm doing this right.
You're
okay,
on the right track.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's not to stress kids. And sometimes a child is underperforming. But that doesn't mean that we point a finger at the child, and scold them that you're not living up to your potential.
True.
We've got to encourage them to live up to their potential, or else they're going to get defensive and go into a shell.
Right.
Right? And we'll do more harm than good.
True. Parents always compare schools based on results and ranking. Now, we've already, spoken about the academic bit. From an educator's lens, what should parents look beyond when making this decision? I honestly don't understand this obsession of parents. Even when the admission time comes, I've known a circle of people, and they would be waiting. Let's see which school's got what ranks, and this school has this much cut percentage, and this school has, had 100% result. And I just sit there looking at them and I'm like, wow, even if your child is not happy, you don't even know how they teach. And maybe that the grades that you're looking at, those children are doing so much more at home. They're going for tuitions. I don't know how those grades are actually coming. But here we are, a whole culture, a whole society built obsessing over academics and obsessing over ranking, so much so that we want to admit our child to a school based on ranking and grades.
I believe that if you put your heart into what you do, you will automatically rank.
True.
Whenever I have worked with a school, it has not been with the intention of climbing the ranks. It's been with the intention of being the best we can.
True.
Right. So I say, look at the alumni. Compare your child today to what he or she was 6 months ago. Do you see a change? Is it for the better? Are you only looking at academics to define your child? I don't say academics don't count. Don't take it that way. Academics matter, right? They do need to go ahead. They do need to have a profession. They do need to, get jobs. We understand that. But there's more to it than just academics, as you rightly said. So I wouldn't go by, how brilliantly have they done. I would go by what kind of kids are they producing.
True. How emotionally stable they are.
Exactly.
Have they learned to regulate their emotions? Are they happy expressing? Are they comfortable expressing their emotions?
Exactly.
Do they know what they want in life? Are they vocal about it? It's not just, of course, it's just there's a whole system of education, there's academics, but at the end of the day, when my child gets out of the school, I want to see what a fine, happy, and somebody who's wanting to learn more.
Exactly.
That's the kind of value I want to child.
So don't confuse academics with education.
True.
It is a part of education.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it needs to be balanced in their lives.
And I think we need the parents also to, drop that conditioning and think.
And as I said, a stable child automatically does well.
True. I agree.
So aim for stability, aim for happiness. And the kid
Right.
takes so much pride in himself or herself that they will automatically want to do the best they can.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay, this is something that I'm sure most parents would love to listen. If exams disappear tomorrow, which they might, what skills do you believe schools must still focus on to prepare children for life?
First and foremost, adaptability. As somebody was asking me the other day about the NEP, and I said the NEP is built with the idea that we don't know what tomorrow holds. The jobs which are reigning supreme today might not even exist tomorrow.
True.
We don't know because everything's changing so rapidly. We then have to give our children the skills which will allow them to be able to manage wherever they go and be successful. One of the primary ones is adaptability, right? With these, I would add things like critical thinking, being able to figure out,
Absolutely.
right?
Necessary.
Combine that with creativity. And then learn to work with others. So I'd put cooperation there.
True.
And then I think finally I take digital literacy. Because
Yes.
the world is, you have to be digitally. I am not very strong digitally and I know how I suffer.
And I love, the first meeting we had together, and I love how you were so open to learning and you're so interested, and how you were managing your Instagram, and you're listening and you're so interested and you want to do more. It's just so beautiful.
Well, I learned so much from you that day, man. Seriously.
Thank
So,
you.
unless we equip our children with these skills, I would say A, triple C, and D.
True.
Right. If you have this, I feel our children will be successful wherever they go.
True.
Never forget, every one of these have to be combined with values.
True.
Because otherwise, I can be the most creative, the most productive person in the world, but I will produce a bomb and I will not know how to use it.
True.
I will be the biggest danger to mankind. So unless I give them values, to give them a compass and a direction, unless they have spirituality to guide them and give them the strength to make even difficult decisions,
Right.
we're going to have an amoral society, which is perhaps the most dangerous thing in the world.
And it is a dangerous time
It
at
is.
the moment.
It's happening today because we focus so much on academics, we forgot all the rest.
True. True. And I think we're seeing that shift already. We're seeing how the society is turning up, how things around us are turning up. And it's just the lack of empathy, love, faith.
Exactly. So in our school, every child in every class is aligned with some group which is marginalized. For example, one group will be working with old age people. Some will be working with the lepers. Somebody will be working with the mentally challenged, the visually challenged, the audio challenged. Every year, they are exposed to another group of people who are on the margins of society. And they will work with them through the year. So what is the aim? The aim is to teach them to be, one, grateful for what they have, and second, to be compassionate. If we don't have that, how can you bring inclusion into this world?
Absolutely. Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Okay. Now, how is GD Goenka Mohali helping children develop adaptability, decision making, and resilience? You almost spoke about it. Skills that parents worry can't be taught from textbooks.
No, they can't. They're right. It's an education that is built more on self-learning, exposing them to different ideas and concepts and allowing them to discover it themselves. So our kind of teaching is far more experiential than it is textbook.
Right.
Right? The textbooks are put to one side. We teach them through activities, through exposure, through field trips, to everything the NEP talks about, we're doing, right?
Right.
And at the end of it, then we take the kids and say, okay, open your textbook and see, what did you learn? Oh, we learned this, oh, we learned that. That's what we taught. There you go. That kind of teaching will stay with the child through their entire lives because they discovered it for themselves rather than being taught and being taught externally and it's being thrust upon them and they're sitting bored and listening.
True.
So when they are doing all this, they are automatically getting skills, right? For example, the student council. We don't just have them as a body which is just in name. They are very much part of the decision making in the school. So they are exercising leadership in its real sense, right? Similarly, small thing, the exam date sheet comes out. It goes to every class. And the children look at it and decide whether they're happy with it or not.
How lovely.
And if they don't, they come back and say, can you change this? Can you put this one first? Can you put this one later? Can we have a bigger break here? And we try to adjust it as much as we can.
How wonderful.
So in this, you see, children are very much part of the decision making. They're learning choices. They're learning how to work with us so that it's not a confrontation. The way they come to us matters a lot when they come with their requests. Are they coming as, give me my rights, or are they coming as, can we work this out? So all those skills which I just mentioned are being actually exercised by the children, right? And any activity, now they're coming up with the class cafes. They're all working in groups. What are we going to, put up? How are we going to do it? What should we cook? What do you think is the calories over here? How can we present it in our little area? And each class will have about, 6 or 7 cafes, which they're going to have putting on the display of different states. But they are making the decisions. And when I went into class today, I said, what are you going to be, putting on? Ma'am, it's a secret. We'll tell you that day. So you could see they had made the decisions.
Right.
That is where true education comes in.
Absolutely, I agree with you. From a parent's perspective, how do teachers in school culture influence a child's confidence, curiosity, and sense of belonging?
Teachers? Teachers need to just love their kids and to work with them.
From a parent's perspective, how do teachers in school culture influence a child's confidence, curiosity, and sense of belonging?
Teachers create the school's ethos, right? And teachers need to be facilitators. That's what a teacher's role is actually, to help the children to discover for themselves. So teachers need to take a back seat and to encourage their children to find out. So like flipped classes, where the children will conduct the class, right?
How lovely.
And they will come and teach. Now, when a child has to teach, they've got to do a lot of research.
Of course.
Because now they're in the teacher's shoes. So they are the ones who have to come and say, okay, I'm going to teach you this. And then the other kids are questioning them and challenging them. So they have got to be very thorough in their grasp of that, of the thing they're teaching when they come to the table. So that is what teachers are meant to do. Not just, rote learning and take out your book, underline this is the answer. That's not teaching. So this is where we feel that teachers will create a school ethos, will define their children.
Ma'am, do you think every school gives teachers the freedom to teach the way they want to?
Tragically, that's not always the case. But if you want your school to be truly a school that makes a difference, I think the administration needs to understand that teachers have to be given the freedom to make mistakes.
True.
And if they make mistakes, they also need to have the strength to know that my people will stand by me and not throw me to the dogs.
True.
Right. It doesn't mean that children can be negatively impacted and you won't see anything. Of course you will. Right? But it also doesn't mean that if a teacher makes a mistake, that they are going to feel that my job is at stake.
Right.
When they have that confidence in their management, they automatically become great teachers because they have the freedom to experiment. They have the freedom to work with their children as human beings, not as automatons. Right? And that, I think, makes all the difference. You have teachers who treat their children as people.
True. That's so rightly said.
And then you will find great kids and great teachers and a great school.
Yes. And children will always remember that. School is a core memory for a child. And
Very much
teachers
so.
also. I mean, no matter what your age, if you ask anybody, do you remember your teachers? Absolutely. You can name so many of them. And you remember your principal? Absolutely.
I think one of the invaluable parts, I mean, priceless parts of being a teacher is the love you have from your kids who remember you. 30 years ago, I taught. My boys are still in touch with me.
How beautiful.
And for my birthday this year, a child from the States sent me books saying, I know you love to read these.
Mom, you won't imagine when I started teaching in the school. Now I'm here, and some days back, I just received a message from somebody in my Instagram DM saying that, Ma'am, you taught me when I was in nursery.
Lovely.
Like, wow. I called my mom and he even mentioned my mom. How is MD ma'am doing? I was like, wow, she's absolutely fine, doing very well. And you remember. And I was like, wow. I mean, of course, I miss teaching only for the children.
Exactly.
Only for the children. I mean, there's nothing else that I really enjoyed or I would want to go back to. And I love teaching only for children and the love and, my conversations. I love small children, and the conversations I used to have with them was so much fun. And I think that's the best part of teaching. And I think being a teacher is much more than doing a job, like we were discussing. It's more than job for doctors and teachers. Absolutely.
It is not a profession at all. It is a calling. And if you are here for the salary, if you're here for it as a job, you need to leave because you are going to damage children beyond repair.
Absolutely.
Right? We have to remember that we are the foundation stones of society.
True.
And tomorrow will be determined by what we teach our children.
Absolutely.
So are we going to produce great human beings, or are we going to produce kids who've got numbers against their names but will not be able to handle life when life throws a curveball at them?
True.
That will define whether you have really succeeded as a teacher or you're an abysmal failure.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we had this conversation, because it's not just about the school, but it is about schooling and education in general, and about the well-being of children. And of course, we are on this podcast, the Goenka Alpha Edge, named very wonderfully by you.
Well, it is the alpha generation we're dealing with now.
Right. And I hope this reaches out to the right audience, to the parents, and I hope we could just make, even if it's a small change, even if one parent could, just see this and make a little difference in the way they see schooling and education, I think that's a big win for us. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's been a pleasure and an honor. And may I say what you were saying about, impacting, I always believe that if we can even affect the life of one child, we change eternity.
How beautiful. Yes.
So we need to understand that as teachers.
Thank
you for having me on the show.
As we wrap up today's episode of Goenka Alpha Edge, we hope this conversation gave you not just information, but perspective, something to pause, reflect on, and carry forward. If this episode added value to your learning journey, do follow and subscribe so you never miss conversations that matter. Share this episode with parents, educators, or students who could benefit from these insights, because meaningful learning grows when it's shared. At Goenka Alpha Edge, we believe education isn't just about grades or career, it's about building awareness, responsibility, and strong human values. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep evolving.